The point of doing this is that it is going to help us, of course, create better paintings, okay? Because the exercises in this packet here are going to help you with how to begin creating a good foundation for a painting, okay? So there are different exercises, and some of you probably have done them before in a drawing class here. So maybe this might be a little bit of review for you, but maybe it's not. And honestly, this is one of the hardest assignments I give all quarter, okay? Because accuracy is super important with this one, and accuracy is not as important in some of the other projects that I give you. So if you find that this is hard for you and you struggle with this one, know that you're not alone, but I still give it, I still want you to do it because it's going to help you become a better artist, okay? So the first page here is a drawing of a car that's upside down. Your job is to redraw this car as exactly as what you see down here below, okay? Including all the detail that you can get, okay? So you're going to pretend you're a Xerox machine and you are going to Xerox copy this, but you notice that this box is slightly larger than this box, okay? This is to keep you honest, and you can't just trace it, okay? So you've got to slightly enlarge the drawing, which also makes it double difficult, okay? But there are ways to make it easy, okay? So if you struggle, then use my tips that I'm going to share with you now to make it a lot easier, okay? So whenever I draw something like this that's got a lot of parts to it that is pretty complicated, and I need to make sure I'm getting it as accurate as possible, is I will break it down into manageable pieces by using a grid, okay? So hopefully you've done a grid drawing before, because that can really help you out, okay? You can make grids in lots of different ways. So if you were to measure this out, and at least split it up into 4 sections here, that's the easiest way to do it. So if I measure it out, it's about 6. It's a little bit longer than 6, but I'm just going to round it off to 6 because that's close enough. I'm not going to be that picky, okay? So here is, so half of 6 is going to be 3. If I measure this side over here, measures about 3.5. So I got to go half of 3.5. Anybody know the answer to that? What's half of 3 and 1/2?
175.
Yeah.
Oh, I was asking, do you have any more rulers?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Rulers are over here on the counter. Okay. So all the like extra supplies you're going to use. It's got like the salt, the sponges, the toothbrush, and all that kind of stuff over here. And there's a little thing of rulers. So if you want to grab a ruler, go ahead and grab a ruler over there. Okay. Excellent question. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. Okay. So yeah, half of 3 is 2.5. Half of a half is 1/4. So it's 1 3/4. That's the answer. 1 3/4. I'm going to mark it over here and over here. Okay, so now I've got top and bottom, side to side marked. Now I just connect those points there. So now I just took my drawing and I divided it into 4 sections. That is a whole lot easier to handle. Okay? This is a lot easier to handle. So now I don't have to obsess over the whole thing. I can just focus on, oh, that is much easier to draw, isn't it? Just a couple lines. That's a whole lot easier to handle. Okay? But you have to draw the same kind of grid over here so that you know how to transfer it, right? So this measures to be 7 inches. What's half of 7 inches? Your math teachers are going to be so impressed. You're using real application of math, rulers. What's half of 7? 3.5. Thank you. 3.5. 3.5. Over here. 4. 4 inches. Oh, that's a tough one. I hope we get that one. 2, right? I'd be really worried if you didn't know that one. Okay, so now I come over here, make the same type of grid. Okay. All right, so now I transfer what's in this square down to this square. That's easy to do. I can do that, okay? But there's an even easier way, because I know we like to do things easy as possible, right? If you don't want to measure it, a student showed me this a couple years ago, and I'm like, oh, that's brilliant. And because I love you all so much, I'm going to show you how to do it too. And that's connect the corners does the same thing. Boom. So now I can do just the corners, or now I've got it into 8 squares. And that's even easier. So it's a little bit extra work to do this, because I'm not going to dock you points if you don't do a grid. You can do it without a grid if you want to, if you feel that confident. But taking the extra steps to make a grid makes it so much easier. Okay? Now I've got even smaller sections. If you want to take a piece of paper and block off the areas here, so you just see the lines and don't focus on the car, that also makes it easier. Okay? You're going to find that as you learn to draw and to learn to paint, that really it's not so much learning how to express your ideas, and that, of course that's part of it, but learning how to draw is really a process of learning how to see things, learning how to be observant. So as you get better at painting, and this was my experience, that I found that I became more observant of the world around me. I began to observe and notice the little details of color and textures and shapes that really made life so much more enjoyable, because I felt like I could fully understand the world around me and express what I was seeing, what I was feeling in my work. And so really that's the secret, guys, is learning how to see the world and learning how to be observant. Okay, so a couple things to be observant of is if you start in this little section over here, you'll notice that this line almost cuts this almost at a diagonal exactly in half. Okay, that's really close. And so that I can do, if I find the middle point for right here, I know that this line is going to go through the middle point right there. Okay, then all I have to do is ask myself, okay, so how far back from the corner is it here? And I'm going to estimate and give my approximation. It's about right there. So now I have 2 points right here and right here that all I have to do is connect them. I'm going to draw a line, and it has a little curve at the end. So I'm going to draw a line and try to get it the same angle, and then just curve it down here at the bottom. Okay? Then I go do the other direction here. I can see that it's about that far up, so I need to go about that far up from the bottom. And now I connect this point to this point. So it's going to come out again, and then it's going to wrap down and meet right there. So right now, starting is the hardest point. Once I get this started and I get it right, now I can just kind of base everything else off of what I've already started. Okay, I can draw this little triangle here in the corner. It's got a little oval here that comes up and around. I can see that there's this line here that crosses, and it touches this middle line, about halfway. Look, halfway from here to here. About there, it's a little bit less than that, but that's my point where it's going to cross, maybe about right there. So I'm going to put my little mark here. I'm going to judge, okay, it comes down about this far. Now I just connect those points. Okay. Draw my other line parallel, comes just a little bit below that center crossing point there. Okay, now I can draw this line here that comes across here. As it gets close to the top, it gets really close, but then as it gets to the end, it's going to go straight across, kind of like that. And then I get this little corner right here. Oh, Nathan, you're late again.
What?
You're late again.
So I have first, second lunch?
We have second lunch. Yeah, we have first floor has second lunch. That's right. We're just starting.
Wait,
Hold on a minute. I'll show you. Okay, and you repeat that to do the entire thing. I won't show you. I won't do the whole thing for you, but when it's done, it should look like that. Okay? All right, so give it your best shot. So I'm going to give you a little bit of time to work on that, and then I'm going to show you how to do the second page, which is going to look like this. Okay? This is the harder one of the three.